Well, hello, everybody, and welcome. You have tuned in to episode number 420. That's right. It's 420.
Light them up
if you got them. This is the most terrific amateur radio podcast on the internet, and we are glad that you are here. This is our short topics episode, and it's a Monday night, or it would be if you're listening to this when it first comes out. So a happy Monday then, I guess. Otherwise, just a happy whatever day it is that you're listening
after
to
a July 4th weekend. So yeah,
that's right.
Hopefully you're recovering fine from the burning your hands off from the fireworks that you're probably not supposed to light in your house.
And if you're mellowing out with a nice joint, then you're probably calm and just happy. So with that, we should probably just dive right into our short topics. And we normally start off with a lead topic if we have one. And this time we have one. We got sort of a press release from.
You should say who's here first, though. Come on. I know I messed it up because I talked too much at the beginning.
Yeah. I've just been like, wow, we're actually like late, but early late. So I don't want to like waste time with introducing who we are. I'm not even sure why we do. It's in the intro. I mean, Caroline did all the work for us, but
get all the voices though. So
well, that's true. Okay, so let's do that. I'm Russ K5TUX.
I'm Cheryl W5MOO.
And I'm Bill NE4RD. And of course, Cheryl sounds so robotic over there with all those printers running in the background.
Yes, I will. If you listen to the last episode, you heard the printer there too. So sorry about the printer noise. I will just say that next time I will make sure that I wait till after the show to start the 3D print. And then we won't have to worry about robotic printing noises in the background. But this time we'll just have to deal with it. And again, as I was about to say, or did say, we have a lead topic tonight, and that topic is a press release from Neil Rapp, WB9VPG. Yes, I think that's right. He has a weird call sign. I can remember
Victor Papa Golf. Yeah.
Victor Papa Golf. Sugar, bacon, sugar. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Bill, we'll just go ahead and let you do this one since it's about Utes on the air.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, this is a Youth on the Air Camp 2021 to be on the air and streaming selected events online. And this comes straight from the horse's mouth there in Westchester, Ohio. The long-awaited Youth on the Air Camp in the Americas is almost here. Campers will be operating special event station Whiskey 8 Yankee from both the National Voice of America Museum of Broadcasting in Westchester Township, North Cincinnati, for those of you not familiar with the geography of Ohio, as well as the Camp Hotel. Activation of the Whiskey 8 Yankee call sign will begin the evening of Sunday, July 11th, and conclude at 1 p.m. on Friday, July 16th. Youth will operate the station as they finish projects between sessions and during free time. In addition, dedicated HF station operation times will be Monday, July 12th from 0100 Zulu to 0330 Zulu, Tuesday, July 13th from 0 Zulu to 0300 Zulu, or 0330 Zulu, and 1800 Zulu to 2130 Zulu. Dedicated satellite station operation times will be Thursday, July 15th from 1400 Zulu to 1700 Zulu, and Friday, July 16th from 1500 Zulu to 1700 Zulu. The opening closing ceremonies and the International Space Station Contact, the ARRL Contact, will be streamed live on Youth on the Air YouTube channel. The opening ceremony is Sunday, July 11th from 2100 Zulu to 2230 Zulu and will feature keynote speaker Tim Duffy, K3LR, of course, from DX Engineering. The closing ceremony is Friday, July 16th from 1700 Zulu to 1800 Zulu. The channel will also feature a daily highlight video spotlighting the activities of the previous day. The ARRL Contact is currently scheduled to take place either to Thursday, July 15th at 1416 Zulu or Wednesday, July 14th at 1503 Zulu. For details about the camp, download the brochure and from the webpage at youthontheair.org. And of course, that came from the press release. So there you go. All the activities will be streamed online, so you can kind of pretend you're there, so you can kind of see what's going on. And this is the very first camp that we're having over here in Region 2. So this is pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's very cool. So everybody should get out there and participate and be a part of this and engage with those youths as they get on the air and become full-fledged members of the amateur radio community. So, very good. All right. Well, since we had a lead topic, we're going to start with segment 2. Let's continue with some amateur radio topics. And the first one is the FCC seeks comments in proceeding involving, I hate that word proceeding. I hate the way they use it. They use it wrong.
So legal.
So legal. Yes. Involving 70 and 5 centimeters. Centimeters, not oars. Jeez, crying out loud. Why don't I have a joint? I need one. The FCC is soliciting a second round of comments on whether to authorize commercial space entities to obtain licenses for frequencies used exclusively during space launch activities. The proposals include parts of the 70 centimeter and 5 centimeter bands. The federal government has allocated this spectrum on a primary basis and routinely uses it during space launches, but commercial space companies must obtain short-term special temporary authority authorizations from authority authorizations, okay, from the FCC to use it for the same purpose. The last decade has seen a dramatic increase in commercial space launches. Jeez, I want, SpaceX and Starlink, those crazy people over at Starlink. In March, the Federal Aviation Administration streamlined its the FAA. I forgot to read the, we probably can't do FCC. Hey, careful. Streamlined its commercial space launch and did I even read that? Let's see. In April, the FCC adopted some of the proposals from 2013 and solicited additional comment and a further notice capitalized. Oh, this is ridiculous.
That's a term for a document type from the government. So
yeah, no, I know. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's all legal.
I know.
On the above proposals in ET docket number 13-115, blah, 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 quote, allocation of spectrum for non-federal space launch operations. The proposal would allow private commercial space companies to obtain regular FCC licenses instead of launch-specific STAs in a number of bands, including 70 centimeters and 5 centimeters. The federal government, including the U.S. Department of Defense, is the primary user of both bands. Amateur operations are allocated on a secondary basis. The FCC again, again seeks comment on whether it should give commercial space launch entities access to the same limited space launch uses already employed by the federal government on this spectrum. The commission concluded that, given the limited current use of these bands during space launches by commercial space entities, we are not convinced that there is need for new allocations for either band. Comments are due on or before July 12, 2021. Reply comments are due on or before August 9, 2021. And this, of course, came from the ARRL with specific information about the further notice from the FCC.
My little side project, which is a text-to-speech podcast of all the federal documents that come out of the Federal Register.
Oh, I bet that's a treat to listen to.
Oh my God. I mean, just this week alone was like almost 500 documents. And I mean, you're talking about everything. It's the podcast is called the FR Daily or the Federal Register Daily. So if you really want to be numbed by how much uninteresting stuff comes out of the government on a daily basis, yeah, go ahead and subscribe to that. There actually are subscribers to it, which is crazy because I'm like, I just did it as a joke for fun. And I've listened to a few of them because it's kind of interesting hearing all the documents. And yeah, I mean, obviously this was one of them. And it's crazy, absolutely crazy how much stuff comes in and out of the government. You'd be surprised at what you would hear if you actually listen to it.
I don't think I would be surprised, actually. I think it would just go nuts after about the first 6 minutes. So
yeah, a ton of FAA stuff too, like especially like vehicle issues, flying vehicles issues, and airspace changes and all this other fun stuff that never would make to the mainstream.
Do you see that
news.
First air car has like 40 hours of flight time over in Slovenia or someplace?
No, really? I haven't seen that. No, I was following it for a while.
Yeah, well, apparently they've got 40 hours of flight time now, and it's the plane to car conversion, they say, takes 3 minutes.
That's not too bad.
No. and it has a top speed currently of 118 miles an hour, and they're looking to bump it up to almost 200 before the end of the year.
Well, those drivers in Iowa would figure out how to drive it like 30 miles an hour just to piss people off, I think. So
I'm pretty sure there's not going to be enough lift at that point, but yeah.
Well, that's probably good. They can stay grounded.
That's true. They can drive to their neighbor's cornfields. All right, let's see if we can bring Cheryl on, and hopefully the printer is not too obnoxious, and have her do this next one.
So our next story is ARRL plans rededication of operations. ARRL board members from across the U.S. will join elected officials in reopening the world headquarters at 225 Main Street in Newington. The ARRL has over 158,000 members, all of whom are essentially amateur radio operators and hobbyists. There are over 2,000 members in Connecticut alone. The rededication movement is a way for ARRL to move forward from the pandemic and celebrate its growing membership. It's also the beginning of a new hurricane season. Quote, in the last 10 or 15 years, there's been a lot of important instances of trained amateur radio operators rising up to the challenge in their communities when they're called in for emergency situations, end quote. Product Development Manager Bob Enderbeidsen pointed out. Members of the ARRL's Amateur Radio Emergency Service train all year long for these situations, keeping hospitals, police, and dispatch centers connected when other communication systems become damaged or disabled. ARRL currently employs nearly 100 people at its Newington headquarters. The organization also has a long-standing partnership with NASA on the International Space Station. And this information came from the Bristol Press.
Yes, Bristol, Connecticut Press. Not far from Newington, I'm betting. But yes, apparently the ARRL, the ARRL, is going to be back in business there in Newington. So for whatever good that is. But they've been doing well enough, I suppose, online via Zoom, as we all have. So anyway, moving on from that, we have another story, and this one is one we were going to talk about 2 weeks ago, but didn't, and now we are. So Bill, take it away.
Sure. Meet the world's first wooden satellite. The tiny satellite is called WISA. WISA Woodcast. It should be like, it sounds like it should be like Jar Jar Binks or something like WISA Woodcast.
WISA Woodcast.
WISA Woodcast. Anyway, sorry about that, people. It'll test how plywood panels endure and behave in extreme conditions of space. A Finnish satellite company, Arctic Astronautics, designed the satellite. Following a successful test flight on June 12th, it's now slated to lift off from Mahia Peninsula Launch Complex in New Zealand by Rocket Lab in November 2021. After launch, it will enter a polar orbit around Earth. If TimberTech performs well, it could introduce an inexpensive alternative to the satellite market. But testing wood in space is not the satellite's only task. What's that? We'll also test some 3D printed electrically conductive plastic material used in its design. That's probably what Russ is printing right now. He's such a fan of the project.
I'm printing out. We saw what's that right now.
We saw what's that. The European Space Agency, who also had a hand in the development, said that this demonstration could pave the way for use of different materials in space. For example, should this plastic material prove successful, future satellite projects may be able to power and cable or data cable. Oh, God, jeez. Should be able to make power and data
Maybe
cables.
You should just do the whole thing as Jar Jar.
I know I should.
Use different materials in space.
I don't think I could, actually.
No,
Printer in space. Yeah, 9 small solar cells power the wooden satellite with enough power to run the amateur radio payload. Thus, amateur radio operators will be able to use the satellite to transfer radio signals, including images around the world. Great. And this came from Earth Sky.
Because, of course, that's never been done before. So.
Yeah. We did have this in our slot, like we said before. But apparently I dropped it and didn't have it. I didn't know it was actually an amateur radio payload on it, but I guess on the test one, they didn't run a payload with anything except for just probably sensors to see if the plywood body would hold up. And I guess they did have a successful run, so that's good. And so we'll have a plywood, some CQ running in the polar orbits.
Yep.
So
amateur radio's gonna have wood.
Yeah, space termites. I like that, Don. That's great.
Yeah, you never know. I mean, I'm curious to see. They said the first one, withstood space for, not that long. I guess it's only been a couple of weeks, but be interesting to see how it holds out in the long term. All right. Well, that means we're moving on to open source topics, and it's my turn, and I've given myself a long one. Yay. All right. So the first topic we have is Linux Foundation introduces Open Voice Network. Ooh. Ooh, interesting. No, we got to drop the Jar Jar right now because no, not even going there. The Linux Foundation, the nonprofit organization enabling mass innovation through open source, today announced the Open Voice Network, an open source association dedicated to advancing open standards that support the adoption of AI-enabled voice assistance systems. Founding members include Target, Schwarzgruppe, Wegmans Food Markets, Microsoft, Veritone, and Deutsche Telekom. Organizations are beginning to develop, design, and manage their own voice assistant systems that are independent of today's general-purpose voice platforms. This transition is being driven by the desire to manage the entirety of the user experience, from the sound of the voice, the sonic branding, and the content, to integrating voice assistants into multiple business processes and brand environments from the call center to the branch office and the store. Perhaps most importantly, organizations know they must protect the consumer and the proprietary data that flows through voice. The Open Voice Network will support this evolution by delivering standards and usage guidelines for voice assistant systems that are trustworthy, inclusive, and open. Voice is expected to be a primary digital interface going forward and will result in a hybrid ecosystem of general-purpose platforms and independent voice assistants that demand interoperability between conversational agents of different platforms and voice assistants. Open Voice Network is dedicated to supporting this transformation with industry guidance and the voice-specific protection of user privacy and data security. And that was a lot of words, and I didn't understand any of that. So, no, I understood enough of it, but I was so focused on reading it properly that I didn't actually parse any of the content. So apparently we're going to have new standards for voice security, privacy, and content management. That's what I get from that.
Yeah. I mean, we know the historic use of Amazon Voice Assistant and stuff like that, and knowing that it's recording all the time, even though they say it's not really recording all the time, but like court subpoenas and stuff like that have shown that it's recording all the time. Yeah. This is interesting and scary at the same time. I suggest you, if you have a voice assistant in your house, and that means if you have a cell phone at all in your house, you might want to go ahead and read on this and educate yourself a little bit about the use of the data that is actually being recorded all the time from your devices that can answer to, "Hey Google," or "Alexa," or "Hey Siri," or "Hi Siri," or whatever it is. Stupid Siri. All those devices are recording and open all the time, even if they say they're not, because there's court cases already that shows that that footage or that the recordings have been subpoenaed and used in court cases. So controlling privacy and everything else is important. If it's important to you, I guess, whatever.
And now I have to apologize to everyone for having Bill trigger all their voice devices.
Yeah, sorry. Alexa, buy 5,000 pounds of dog food. Confirm. No, there you go. Enjoy your pallet of dog food.
And what do you know what the thing is that prevents that from happening? Like when it's on commercials and stuff, is it a subaudible tone?
Yes, they do a subaudible tone. Yeah, and it basically tells it not to answer to it. So yeah,
right. That's what.
Sorry, we don't have that capability here because it's not disclosed to us because we're not an advertised solution here. Sorry.
Oh well. So.
Sorry.
Hey Siri, what's the square root of 2? Oh wait. What? You're not going to answer me? Hey Siri, what's the square root of 2?
I found this on the web.
Oh, well, that's useless. Why don't you just give me the answer? I don't.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Anyway.
So anyway, we're going to let Cheryl take a break from reading stories over the printer.
For now.
I'll just go ahead and dive into the next one here. The next one is Linux kernel 5.13 is out. Headline features in this release include the Mixxx group controller, multiple sources for trusted keys, kernel stack randomization on every system call, support for Clang control flow integrity enforcement, the ability to call kernel functions directly from BOOF programs, BFF, minor fault handling for user fault FD, the removal of /dev/kmem, the landlock security module, and of course, thousands of cleanups and fixes. Of course. From Linus himself, quote, "So we had quite the calm week since RC7, and I see no reason to delay 5.13. The short log for the week is tiny, with just 88 non-merge commits, and a few of those are just reverts. It's a fairly random mix of fixes, and being so small, I'd just suggest people scan the appended short log for what happened. Of course, if the last week was small and calm, 5.13 overall is actually fairly large. In fact, it's one of the bigger 5.x releases with over 16,000 commits from over 2,000 developers. But it's a big all-over kind of thing, not something particular that stands out as particularly unusual. Some of the extra size might just be because 5.12 had the extra RC week, and with 5.13 out the door, that obviously means that the merge window for 5.14 will be starting tomorrow based on whenever this was. I already have a few pull requests for it pending, but as usual, I'd ask people to give the final 5.13 at least a quick test before moving on to the exciting new pending stuff," unquote. And this came from LWN. Do you pay for LWN?
No, I get the emails.
Oh, okay.
I'm on the email list, so.
Well, there you go. New Linux kernel, and if you're running Debian, you'll get that in 3 months. If you're running Arch, you already have it.
Yeah, you had it yesterday, right?
Yeah, right.
You had all the RC builds and everything.
Right, and your system is broken. Anyway, let's move on. We have another open source another open source project to talk about. This is one you're actually utilizing right now if you're listening to this, because in the live chat, the people who are listening to this live are hearing it because of Mixxx. And Mixxx has a new release. Go for it, Bill.
Yeah, this is Mixxx 2.3.0 is released. We are proud to announce the release of Mixxx 2.3.0. If you want to give it a spin, you can download it now on Windows, Mac OS, and Linux. This release brings a lot of new features and bug fixes, such as prepare your DJ, set using hot cue colors and labels, mark intro, outro sections in your tracks, add track colors for easier library navigation. Our new multi-threaded analysis and more accurate key detection will improve the preparation process further. Mixxx 2.3.0 also comes with a new default skin. It's called Late Night, underwent a massive redesign and replaces Deer as a default skin. So check out the screenshots page. If you're a record box or Serato user, switching to Mixxx has become a lot easier. You can now play tracks directly from USB drives that contain record box and Serato libraries. We also added support for recording, streaming in the Opus and HEAAC codecs, or codecs, introduced deck cloning and polished the library and preferences, including the controller workflow. 2.3.0 also adds out-of-the-box support for Pioneer DDJ-200 and DDJ-400, the Native Instruments Traktor Control S3, the Hercules DJ Control Impulse 200, and Jog Vision, the Roland DJ 505, the Behringer B Control BCR 2000 and DDM 4000, the Ion Discover DJ Pro, and the Newmark IDJ Live 2. A few existing controller mappings have received fixes and new features too, which of course we do not use on this podcast, right?
That's correct.
We just use the streaming part and the music.
Yes.
And for the full list of changes, have a look at the change log and the 2.3.0 milestone on Launchpad. So yeah, if you want this build on your Ubuntu installation, I suggest you subscribe to the Launchpad PPA, and you can have the latest, greatest sexiness that comes from Mixxx. So, and of course, that was direct from Mixxx.
And Mixxx is a really cool application. It does a whole mess of stuff, and it's very full-featured, very hard to get into because it has so many tweaks, buttons, knobs, and things to play with. But once you sort of get a handle on it, it's super, super powerful. And if you're doing any kind of audio type stuff, not recording and editing, but if you're doing DJ type things or audio streaming or integration with music libraries and anything like that, you should definitely take a look at it. It's great open source software, very powerful, and one of the better audio applications out there. And I talked about that for a second because we're going to let Bill talk about the next topic in our Linux in the Ham Shack segment, because this is one that is sort of specific to him. So go for it.
Yeah, my voice is all relaxed. So here we go. Yeah, this is how about an open source study guide? And of course, that is the topic of a blog post by our good friend Dan, KB6NU, of the famous No Nonsense Amateur Radio License Study Guides. He posted earlier today on his blog that he's thinking about moving his guides to open source. He states that he spent a lot of years developing these, but he thinks that for them to grow and continue to flourish, it might be a good idea to consider using open source. So he asked me if I had any opinions on it, and I spoke to him through email this morning, and we kind of talked about some tooling that might be usable for his aspect of doing his guides as a shared resource. Sorry, I'm looking at my watch. And
do you have
and
a software release or something?
Yeah, no, I was like, oh no, you haven't fixed the calendar, so now it's telling me that it's time to record the podcast. And I suggested him, you can use Wikimedia or whatever to kind of do an audit flow of the document, or you could use GitHub and use a markdown document where you can actually view it while you're in GitHub, and then you can control, pull requests and forks and stuff like that. And then we also talked a little bit about licensing. I suggested, might want to look at the Creative Commons, using the attribution and share alike license. But obviously, it's going to take him some more studying and information and searching. So that's why he did the blog post, because he wants to know what you think, and if you have any opinions on him possibly open sourcing his guides for them to kind of live on forever, get in touch with him. So check out his blog. And I left here with a question here. What do you think would be the best for Dan's management of his guides in a collaborative manner like an open source project? And I pose that to you, Russ, and what do you think?
Best for his guides, collaborative manner like an open source project. See, I'm actually on the hunt right now for a new open source collaborative editor, because the one we're using, I have to maintain a really, really old version of Debian right now just to run it, because anything newer bombs out because all the libraries didn't get updated, and it hasn't been a project since like 2017 or something. So honestly, I don't have an answer to that, because I need to find an open source collaborative editor myself. So I guess I need to go look for one. And if I find one, then we'll switch all of our show notes and stuff to it. And then we'll tell Dan what he should use. Now in the chat room, somebody said MD Book. What is MD Book?
That's a markdown book. So it's a command line tool and Rust to create books using markdown files. It's very similar to Gitbook written in Rust. Blah,
okay.
blah, 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 blah. It looks pretty slick, and it looks like you can publish it via GitHub.io, so it actually show up as a web page as well. That's pretty slick. That might be a good option. So go over and tell Dan, because I'm not sure if he's listening tonight, because he hasn't popped his head in the door, as we like to say. And tell him all about MD Book. I did mention Markdown to him, that if he's going to use GitHub, he's going to probably want to use Markdown, which is not very hard to use. And obviously you can convert quite easily over to EPUB or to PDF or whatever you need for your output format. And I said, you should probably think about, your releases are your final format files, but like while your document's living in that PR and, modification stage, it's always in MD, markdown format. So yeah, that's cool. So if you have opinions on that, go over and catch Dan's blog at KB6NU, and you'll find him quite easily, and give him some suggestions. And he's looking for help, maybe to help him kind of get that started.
Yep. The only other person I know is Seth, who goes by Klaatu. We talked to him on the show, I think, way back in the day. He's published a few books and published a few guides and things like that. And he uses a suite of tools that's like a publishing suite that is something that's built onto Emacs. And I don't know if that's something that, I know. If that's something you want to address or even to, but it's,
I don't have that operating system. So I'll have to find those floppies somewhere so I can install Emacs OS.
not Emacs OS. It just is an OS.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, this is like whatever. do they have a droplet for that, or is there
I don't know, there's
Docker,
probably a Docker,
Docker file image that I could support that?
I imagine there's got to be one out there somewhere, an app suite, or not app suite.
Maybe it runs on clear Linux container or something like that. Oh my goodness!
It says, "Oh my God, no."
Come on, send in the hate mail at info.lhspodcast.info. We want to hear from you.
Just because I mentioned Emacs. Yeah, I made like 7 people happy. All right.
Yeah.
Don says overleaf.com.
Overleaf.com.
I'm going to have to look that up real quick because these are probably great suggestions, but I don't know what that is.
Again, get these. Oh, this is latex.
Evolved latex. So, yeah. No.
Yep. Yeah, that makes sense. So yeah, get over and stop mentioning him to us. Go talk to Dan and see if you can help him out. He definitely is looking for some people to get him over that hump of learning a little bit more about open sourcing documents and keeping them still commercial for publication and probably protecting them a little bit from republication without attribution. So I think that's why I suggested the BySA license. He could do a non-derivative, but I'm not sure that's terribly effective for his specific use case, commercial-wise, because if he's still going to commercialize it, a BySA sounds a bit better. But
if he's looking for collaboration, you might want people to be able to update for content changes and stuff like that too, where he doesn't have to do everything himself.
Yeah, exactly. So check out his blog post. It just was out, when we record this podcast, it was out today. So 4 days ago for you Monday people. And the second thing we have here, of course, is that LHS bot is now connected to LiberaChat. That's right. We have torched the old freenode.net, and I'm not even connected to it anymore. And neither is my bot. So that's connected now. So if you join LHS podcast or Octothorpe LHS podcast on LiberaChat, it is now connected directly to our Discord general channel via LHS bot. And so that should operate without any issues. Without any more than we've always had. I guess you're going to start working on getting the other bot over there, and we'll de-freenode ourselves as everybody else has.
Well, I don't have any bots that are connected to Freenode, so.
Well, you have the one, right? The one that we get weather from and stuff.
That's right. That, what is that one? Gnorman that, does the.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you didn't know this, there's a, Gnorman actually knows how to play Cards Against Humanity. .CAH is a command that you can use.
Yeah, we've played it before.
Yeah, but I don't know that I've talked about it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you can even set up your own card.
Right. You can set up your own black card stuff. And have it randomly answer and things like that. So yeah,
so we need to get that back in live, right?
Yeah, I'll work on moving stuff over to Liberia, including myself, because I have not done that yet because I have a million other things going on, but I will do it. So anyway,
I don't think I have any other mixed Linux in the Ham Shack topics except for, the 6-meter station's running great. No problems here. Still running Ubuntu 2104 on it. I was thinking about putting Pop on there, but I haven't changed it
yet. Yeah, and 6 meters has been going gangbusters, especially midday, before gray line hits. I've been working a whole lot of 6 meters. Bill's been working a lot of 6 meters, so I know it's hopping, and it's even going into the evening some too. I mean, I look at my waterfall and it's dead, but you said you had a little sporadic activity here.
Yeah. The last activity I saw was just about 2 minutes ago, so it has kind of continued into the evening, but slowly pittered out. Of course, as I say that, a new trace comes in from N5KO from Charlie Mike 97. So it's a strange band. It's up and down all times of the day.
Yeah, I saw a good strong blip come across there too, but it was only for a couple of rounds. So I'm not sure. Although there's another one. Wow. So either this is some sort of ground wave, somebody, within 10 miles of me, or it's picking back up. Who knows? All right. So there we go. That brings us down to the end of the topics for tonight. So thank you for listening through all of those. And before we go, we have to let you know who the supporters of our show are and the folks who have come join us on our social media platforms and so forth through our social media roundup. And we will bring, I can't remember who said it in the chat, but we'll bring Cheryl back in from Moonbase Alpha to read through the social media roundup.
Alrighty then. So for our Patreons, we have David Potter, which is new. Thank you very much. Jim Lawson, Patrick Ang, Douglas Schock, Eric Guth, Brandon Rozak, John Spriggs, Robert Lewis, Robert Pitts, Douglas Redder, David Jagway, Darren King, Cubicle Nate, Erna Costales, Samuel Vimes, Peter Caffrey, Richard Gordon, Paul Griffith, Jonas Rulo, Donald Gover, Herb Garcia, Steve Sainer, Steve Metcalf, William Heckelman, Randolph Smith, and Andy Webster. For our subscriptions, we have Paul Mooney, which is also new. Thank you very much. Chris DeLuca, Andy Cowley, Eric Muller, Carl Backus, Isaac Gear, Thomas Foy, Michael Burdack, Kevin Ivey, Tony Coberly, Ronald Ike, Johnny Kinsey, Peter Spots, Fred Cole, Bill Pieter, Jeffrey Boris, Robert Halliday, Wayne Hale, John Clark, Steve Hepler, Michael Jopling, Roger Pereira, Howard Dittmer, Todd Bowers, Michael Carey, A. Taylor, Dylan Engel, Jim McKenzie, Bill Collins, Robert Black, Darren King, Randolph Smith, Robert Yerke, Steve Biella, Alan Wilson, Mark Farrell, and Jeff Zimmerman. For Facebook, Russ Hools joined us. For Twitter, we have at EMComPrep, at VA3SMU, at Lincoln Mikes, at Braincode, at Rat in the Tub, and at eLavrova24. For YouTube, Ambrish Upadaye, I'm guessing that's kind of right. For Discord, we have Retro PIA, AKI, Symbola, and Ripper MD.
All right, very good. Yep, we didn't have any mailing lists, no merch sales. So
because everything's still broke, right?
Still broken. I am trying to work on it. I just, it's tough to get stuff done these days. But anyway, that brings us down to the end of the social media roundup, and that means we're at the very bottom of the Etherpad, which means we're at the very bottom of the show. But before we go and wrap this one up, we want to mention the folks who are with us in the chat room tonight. We had several with us tonight. Oh, and it was Don, by the way, KC9ZMY, who's in the chat, who mentioned Moonbase Alpha. So we have him. We also have Darren, VK6EK from Down Under. We have Ted, WA0EIR. We have Tony, K4XSS. We have the Menace, who actually has a name and a call sign, but I don't remember what either one of the, well, I know what the name is, but not the call sign. So we'll get that for the next one. And we had John, K1BTZ. So thanks, everybody, for tuning in to us live and for joining us in the chat tonight. We enjoyed having you, and we also enjoy all of you who support or download and listen to the program. We appreciate you, and we wouldn't do this if it weren't for all of you. So thanks once again. And with that, we will go ahead and wrap up this short topics episode of Linux in the Ham Shack, number 420. Smoke 'em if you got 'em. I'm Russ, K5TUX.
I'm Cheryl, W5MOO.
And I'm Bill, NE4RD73.